Welcome to Fatigued, but Not Forgotten. Once again, we're rival writers in a stalled elevator with you, a group of high-powered producers. We have 15 minutes before the elevator is repaired, and one of us is going to pitch you a movie, a long-needed sequel, prequel, remake, reboot, reimagining, or remakeable to a movie that never got one. The other person has a vested interest in shooting it down because, damn it, we're rivals.
Give me all your money and nobody gets hurt.
This is Fatigued, but Not Forgotten. My name is Matt Reifschneider, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host over here in the corner. Are you shaking already? Man, like, pull yourself together.
Hey, I saw some freaky stuff. It inspired my idea today.
Ooh, this is my co-host Sean Caylor. Hello, Sean. You guys, I saw some freaky shit, huh? In an elevator, nonetheless.
Well, it was a little before the elevator, but...
Okay, because I was going to say, if you were going to throw that M. Night Shyamalan written movie at me,
Oof.
Devil? Was that what it called?
Hey, we all know that if the toast drops jelly side down, the devil is in the elevator.
This, we all know this. It's inherent in your DNA, really. That's how you know that. And so, forewarning everybody, we are tentatively pitching a franchise. So this does come with a spoiler warning for all of you out there that we're more than likely going to spoil the movie that we talk about today. And it is Sean's turn to pitch a movie, and I have no idea what the fuck he's going to talk about. So I'm really curious what you're going to pitch me today. I mean, you've got 4 minutes to kind of sell these producers on this movie, and then I'm going to have 4 minutes to tell you you're full of shit.
Well, there's a reason my first angle was to go like an old-timey thug. Let me start the time and explain that.
All right. Oh, I'm excited for this movie. You start that timer, because the repairman, you know what? I'm calling him right now. I got him on speed dial at this point.
And away we go. So, basically, we're going to talk about something that is a franchise, but has only ever had one shot in the theaters, and I think it deserves another one. In the 90s, early 90s, Alec Baldwin asked us all the question, do you know what evil lurks in the hearts of men? My pitch is a remake. The Shadow Knows. So, I really do think we are at a time right now where a good, classic, simple, good versus evil plot is, for one, both an easy sell and kind of what we need right now. It's what we want right now. For two, this is a great character. You know, you can revamp the origin a little bit, maybe tone down the Asian mysticism, or rework it a little bit in a way that's more appropriate for modern times. But the basic idea of a hero whose, main ability is to kind of cloud your mind and disappear, and he's got this really cool kind of iconic look. You've got the hat, you got the scarf, and the twin pistols. It's all you really need for a decent kind of serial style noir. So what I'm thinking is, basically, we completely cut out everything about Genghis Khan's, great-great-grandson, and you really just have the Shadow going against the mob. I'm looking for, like, a Batman Begins here, like a real hard, grounded Christopher Nolan. The only kind of deeply mystical element is the Shadow's powers, and we're gonna kind of do it like they did in the old days. There's he's not like overly powerful. He's not like shooting fireballs. It's not Doctor Strange. He can't like teleport hither and thither. He does have the Batman thing going on. He's a millionaire playboy, and I think if you kind of play up that angle and some kind of underworld connections, have him do like infiltration and do it kind of smart and like try to work with the police but not, overtly. And we keep this thing kind of, like I say, grounded, modern, a little maybe Bourne in the action sequences. Bourne 1 without the shakiness. I just think we're ready to give one of these serial heroes another chance. And God knows it's not going to be Flash Gordon. God knows it's not going to be the Phantom, although we may hear that title reappear on this program someday. Regardless, I do think the Shadow could work in a Batman Begins world. And that is my time.
Man, the Shadow. You were pulling some 90s nostalgia lately, man.
Well, I mean, I guess 1940s via 90s nostalgia, but yes, the 90s version is the one I grew up with, certainly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right, the Shadow. Well, I got to digest this a little bit. All right, okay.
Yeah, let's try to shoot down the Shadow. Go.
Okay. let me try so hard to shoot this down. Hit me when you're ready. To start the timer. Go? Okay. So we all know that the Shadow knows. The problem with the Shadow knowing is that the Shadow is a character completely and utterly rooted in its past. And I understand you're pitching this idea like, let's modernize the Shadow. Let's give him a Bourne edge. Let's give him a Batman Begins edge into it. And I don't inherently disagree with that. But let's think about all of the neo-noir comic book movies. Very much a comic book style in this movie. I know it's based on a radio play, right? I actually grew up listening to the radio play. My father is a big fan of this show when it was on the air. So, very comic book style. But let's think about all of the noir style comic book movies that just utterly fail again and again and again. The list goes on and on. I mean, maybe you come out with something that's slick and stylish like a Sin City or something to that effect, or you might get The Spirit. Oh yeah, you cringe when I say The Spirit. And it's not that blazing red tie. That's definitely not it. Don't get me wrong, I actually really enjoyed the original movie, The Shadow. I actually like Alec Baldwin in it. I think it's very campy and fun. We all know that Darkman came out of The Shadow, which might quintessentially be the way to do The Shadow properly, even in a modern context. But it's hard for me to see this movie without that tongue-in-cheek element, simply because with his powers and whatnot, you either have to lean into the fantasy or you have to lean away from it. Maybe you give him ninja-like abilities and you make that better in those regards, to ground it in a realism. But I just don't see that being true to The Shadow. The Shadow as a TV show, to bring that heart out and things like that, definitely has a tongue firmly planted in cheek. And I think that that's something that you would need to really focus on. And that's something that I don't think an audience would buy nowadays. And a grounded, realistic version of it might be something that an audience just doesn't understand how to take if they are a fan of this kind of series. I like the idea of your pitch, Sean. I actually do, because I think that there's something to this material, and God knows Hollywood loves to use previous IP to strip mine whatever they can from an already established audience. But The Shadow is not one that I foresee that a studio would be putting a lot of money into, particularly something that might be a little bit special effects heavy in terms of The Shadow. So as much as I love the idea, I just think that trying to ground it in a realism in the way that you pitch it looks great on paper. It's a little bit like communism. Looks great on paper. In execution, it's a little bit shoddy. That's right. I just invoked communism into this episode. But ultimately, I just think that with something like this, there has to be a thoughtful timeliness to it. And I'm not sure that this is the time to really dig into the shadow, even as much as I have to admit, I would love to see the shadow come back to the silver screen. It might be a product that's better suited for a mini series or something to that effect to really kind of capitalize on its concept.
Okay, well, and that's just about your time. You got a couple seconds on the clock here. So, see, you're even making this a little easy on me because everybody knows you want a little bit more shadow in your life.
I know. That's the hard part about this is that I don't inherently disagree. I just think that your pitch, while certainly modernizing it, just doesn't quite have the bite that I think it needs to.
Well, allow me to drop this little bomb on you, and I'll use it to lead into my final statement.
Did you say drop a bomb on me? Because wasn't the first shadow about a guy making a nuclear bomb?
It was, in fact.
Okay, that's what if we're bringing this all back around, I feel like I'm standing in your shadow on this.
So, let me just drop a little name out there. Alexander Proyas. Because if we bring a little bit of that Crow style and a little bit of that Crow energy into this, that's how you ground a supernatural character. So, in The Crow, the Crow is the only one with powers, and he's up against a gangland kind of situation. That's a pretty solid model. I'm personally updating the action a little bit. No disrespect to Bruce Lee's son, of course. But, I do think that this kind of grounded thing can work for a character whose mystic powers are a little limited. Again, he's not teleporting all over the place. The visual effects you're talking about is if we're doing like a hard remake of the campy 90s one where you got, this knife flying around with a face on it and stuff. Very entertaining, something I desperately loved when I was a child, but what I'm talking about is his basic supernatural power to tell people are lying to him, and he's got like slight hypnotism power, so he's got a couple of mind powers, and included in these mind powers is he can disappear. That is the oldest camera. God damn it, there are silent films with disappearing effects. Give me a break the expense of the special effects on this. This is a budget-minded, very, very achievable, possible IP to bring back and modernize in the way I'm pitching. I will stand behind my pitch on this.
I hear that. I hear you. And I think, you can start my time right now because I'm just going to dive right into this. So, yeah, I love that you're invoking the Crow. Alex Proyas, especially his early career, fantastic. I love the Crow. I love Dark City. And I think that he's got a great sense of that darkness and ability to do that. Now, I think the problem with invoking the Crow is that, pop quiz hot shot, but how many Crow movies are there? 4? Yeah, you're holding up 4 fingers. Yeah, 4, right? How many work? 1, maybe 2. If you try to tell me City of Angels is even halfway good.
Salvation. I actually stand behind that.
Oh, you stand by Salvation. Okay. Maybe that's a franchise we'll have to discuss later. All I'm saying is that as much as The Crow, I think The Crow is one of those films that it happened in a time and place. And what was interesting about The Crow is that it does invoke the time period it's in, mainly that kind of industrial-esque punk rock kind of feeling. And I think that was part of its time. And it's a film that lasts because of that, one of those weird films that does that. I don't know if The Shadow can do that. I like the idea, but I'm not convinced. I need to see a sizzle reel on this one because as much as I would want to think that this would work, it does invoke, especially in this modern age, I think these producers over here are going to be asking more for something like Doctor Strange than they will be asking for something like, a Batman Begins, particularly from a a character in a world that is very of its time and very broad in its shoulders. So I think that's kind of problematic with that. But other than that, I do believe that your pitch has a little bit of feet to stand on. I just don't think that it's probably worth looking at until you give us a new rewrite, maybe a sizzle reel, and I think the producers would agree.
All right, so what do you fine people think? Would you like to see The Shadow Knows? You gotta admit, that's a poppy title at least.
That's a good title. I'm trying to convince these people not to give you money, and I just gave you my wallet when you dropped that title. I'm like, where'd my wallet go? I gave it to Sean.
All right, so do you agree with me? Do you agree with Matt? What do you think? Feel free to hit us up on our socials, and by all means, tell them about our socials.
Yeah, absolutely. You can check out our socials. You can get us over at Facebook at facebook.com/NoFranchiseFatigue. You can also check us out on the Twitterverse. You can get us at the handle at nffpod. And then you can also work in they should email you to tell you how much your idea is great, mm-hmm. but not going to work. Where should they email you, Sean?
That would be nffpod.sean, SEAN, my name is a 4-letter word, at gmail.com. And where else can they reach you, Matt?
Yeah, you guys can reach me over on Twitter myself. I'm at the movie Matt. Matt is M-A-T-T. It's also a 4-letter word. And, just because I want to steal your thunder on that. So it is also a 4-letter word, but you can find me there. Definitely tweet at me, yell at me if you don't think that if you think that I'm an idiot for not wanting a sequel to The Shadow, which I would call The Longest Shadow. That would be my, I think that one's a good one too, right?
That's not bad. That's
The Longest Shadow. Yeah. The Shadow Knows is good though.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Let us know if there's and definitely go check out our back catalog for all of our other episodes. If you have, let us know what you want to hear too. We're always happy to kind of reach out. We're getting quite the list of requests at this point, so we're happy to kind of tackle that. But until next time, let's get these producers out of the elevator. It's getting a little steamy in here, and as much as I know that you want to continue to pitch your movie, you really should get out of that Shadow costume. That's a big fucking scarf.
Just a quick thought. With his particular sense of evil, could you imagine the Shadow in a political convention nowadays? Oof.
Shit. Not that now that these producers are leaving, you really shouldn't say that in front of the producers. That's probably why they won't want to make it. They'll know that they get caught.
That's true. He does. Just walks around.
That was your fault to begin with.
Shadow walking around anywhere in modern society. He's just like, ah.
He's just like, no wonder his face is all deformed. He's got a prosthetic nose to just try to deal with the shit.
All right. Thank you very much for listening.